quote, for there is no one who does not sin, unquote. Yeah, that's kind of the whole point. They sin. Then they turn toward the temple and pray and repent. So then what happens? Because of this, see verse 20. All their transgressions are forgiven because of this act. The whole reason they do it is for forgiveness, for their sins. So that, quote, for there is no one who does not sin, only lends strength to the whole premise of their act. Even if you're right, how many times are they to pray toward the temple? And if it's 5 times a day, every day, like a Muhammadan has to do with the Kaaba, or else, where does it say they have their patooties up in prostration like you do in Islam? Is this a one-time event during battle, or are they doing it 5 times a day, every day, for the rest of their lives to avoid, quote, the fire, unquote? No, it isn't. It's not a one-time event, and it isn't just about the battle. 27 to 32 isn't about the battle. 33 to 34 is about the battle. 35 to 43 has nothing to do with the battle, and is just about life throughout the land in general. This prayer is about their prayer toward the temple leading to forgiveness. He gives all kinds of examples of, quote, if they do this, let them pray toward this place, and hear the prayer, and forgive them. If you are right, then why was there this call for blood sacrifices in the temple? Why was a bronze snake image, idol, used successfully as snakebite medicine to those who looked up at it on a stick held up by Moses? Why was the blood of a spotless lamb used to keep the firstborn of Israel from being struck down by the angel of death? How much you want to bet that lamb blood, that spotless lamb blood on the doorways of Egyptians would have stopped their firstborn from dying as well? Well, I am right too. Now that your position is looking weak, don't try to divert. Let's finish here and stay on track with Kings and the other verses. Then we'll do yours. It's not really fair to try to move from my points when we are still on it, just because you don't want to be proven wrong in it. 3. You didn't respond to point 1, and I don't want to move on. I don't want to move there too until that is established. I think the evidence is clear here. I don't know how many times you want me to post it saying they prayed to the temple. Before you accept it, I mean, if an explicit quote, when they prayed toward the temple, unquote, isn't enough for you to prove in praying toward the temple, then I don't know what to tell you, because you're just not willing to listen. Really, I have quoted the verses and posted them here, and they are clear. Are you now then willing to accept point 1? Because I'm not going to move on to point 2 until you are. Okay, let's stick with the passage in Kings. Look, I don't blame them for praying towards something that had the quote Holy of Holies in it. But where are they praying toward 5 times a day and having their patooties in the air like Mohammedans to keep from going to hellfire, to eternal hellfire? And again, you have sold me on the fact that they pray toward the temple. But do they do it 5 times a day, or 1 time, or was it a one-time thing? How many times did they have to have their patooties up in the air like Mohammedans or not? And again, what were blood sacrifices and the idol of a snake and the Passover spotless lamb blood all about if Jesus didn't go to the cross like the Quran says he didn't?
This is getting in the snow, isn't it?
Oh, I didn't see where you said you accepted it. Okay, then moving on to point 2, which is, did they do it for forgiveness? Then I will go on to 3, which was it one-time thing or not? That okay with you? Okay, point 2, supported by 30. Then hear in heaven, and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them back to the land which you have given to their fathers. When the heavens are shut up, and there is no rain because they have sinned against you, when they pray toward this place, and confess your name, and turn from their sin, because you afflict them, then hear in heaven, and forgive the forgiveness of sins of your servants, your people Israel, that you may teach them the good way in which they should walk, and send rain on their land, which you have given to your people as an inheritance. 37. When there is famine in the land, pestilence and blight, or mildew, locusts or grasshoppers, when their enemy besiege them in the land of their cities, whatever plague or whatever sickness there is, whatever prayer, whatever supplication is made to anyone, or by your people Israel, when each of one knows the plague of his own heart, and spread out his hands toward this temple, then hear in heaven your dwelling place, and forgive and act, and give to everyone according to all his ways, whose heart you know. For you alone know the hearts of all the sons of men. Furthermore, 44 through 50 all support the same point. Forgiveness as a motive and firmly attached to and add association with this act. So they did in fact do this with a purpose to be forgiven. Do you then accept point 2?
But to avoid hellfire?
Spread out their hands for the temple, unquote. Sounds like it could be more than a one-time event, and it sounds like it's, quote, not to keep from having your skin burned off and replaced. And it sounds like it's, quote, well, it's not to keep from having your skin burned off, replaced any eternal hellfire like Psalm teaches, but to appease God in their mortal life, if that's what spreading out, quote, hands for the temple is for. By the way, by the way, if you are right, and they are trying to avoid hellfire like Muhammadans with patooties in the air, as they, quote, face the temple with their hands toward this temple, unquote, why does the Torah, which the Quran says is, quote, both guidance and light, like the Quran, why does it talk of blood sacrifices for atonement? Atonement for what? And why a spotless lamb blood above doorways in Egypt? And why an idol used successfully as snakebite medicine? Why all this if Christianity is a lie? Is this passage that you're presenting during a time of captivity where would there be no sacrifices in the Holy of Holies, or not? If they were captured and wanted to be brought to, quote, the land which you have given, that you gave to their fathers, I can understand why patooties might be up in the air while facing the Holy of Holies for forgiveness. But are they in captivity at this time? If not, then that means sacrifices were taking place also. And why? Why blood atonement sacrifices and patootie in the air? I showed the verses 28 through 30, 35 through 40, 41 through 42. It is not just a time when in captivity, but for whatever, whenever, whoever, and the captivity is only one example among others, like lack of rain on account of sin, famine,
idol of a snake,
locusts,
and Passover
when the enemy is in their land.
Good taqqiya.
The other way around from what you are talking about, or in 38, 43, anything and everything. Also, here is an interesting connection between that. Salah and what you are mentioning about, like the 99 names. It's a side point, a bit of digression. But would you like to hear it? Sure, go ahead. I don't know if I'll believe it due to the taqqiya factor, but go ahead. Point 1. C39. Now you mentioned that memorize the 99 names will get you to heaven. That's true. So, will fasting Ramadan, sending Laylatul Qadr in worship, learning the Quran and teaching it. But check this out. I'm sure you are familiar with this. The first matter that the slave will be brought to accept for on the day of judgment is the prayer. If it is sound, then the rest of his deeds will be sound. If it is bad, then the rest of his deeds will be bad. TBC. Point 2. Here is another connection. Here is another concerning that. The covenant between us and them is prayer. So if anyone abandons it, he has become a disbeliever. Muhammadtube and Nasi'i. Another, quote, what lies between a man and disbelief is the abandonment of prayer. Agreed upon by Muslim Abu Dawud and Nasi'i Sahih Authentic.